So after landing and picking up my checked bag from baggage claim, I took an Uber to a shared Airbnb in Hillsboro, which is only about a 10-minute drive from San Francisco's airport. I arrived late at night and wanted to start the next day early, so pretty much crashed as soon as I got to my room. This Airbnb was one of those shared bathroom situations with other guests, which was able to allow me to keep the cost under $100 for the night, which isn't too bad given the high cost of housing in the Bay Area. I was excited when I woke up the next day, not only because I was on my way to pick up a rental Tesla Model Y, but it was my first opportunity ever to call a Waymo to pick up that rental. Autonomous driving does appear to be the future, and it was a pretty cool experience to see a Waymo pull up to my pickup location and drive me without any other humans in the car. For those curious, the total cost of the ride was about $19, which I felt was comparable to what I would have paid had I got an Uber. After dropping off my bags in the car, I picked up some breakfast and then started the roughly 4.5 drive to Lassen Volcanic National Park. I wouldn't say that the drive was particularly scenic, but it was peaceful and stress-free since there weren't too many other cars on the road. About 3.5 hours in, I stopped by the town of Red Bluff, which is the closest town to Lassen Volcanic National Park, if you're coming from San Francisco. It was in this town that I grabbed lunch and then used one of the superchargers to charge the car up to about 85% charge. Sleeping in your car is understandably undesirable for most people. After all, you forego a lot of the creature comforts of a hotel, such as having access to a more comfortable and spacious bed, a greater sense of safety, and access to a hot shower and toilet. While these are all valid points, I feel like there were a couple upsides to sleeping in a Model Y while traveling, which I learned from firsthand experience on this trip. The first and most obvious is that you're saving on hotel cost. On longer trips, hotel costs usually end up being the highest expense, even more than airfare, because it's a cost that you incur every night. In 2025, the average cost of a hotel runs about $160 per night, versus the cost of sleeping in a Tesla can be as low as $0 if you stealth camp in, say, hotel parking lots or residential street parking. If you instead choose to sleep at campsites, it's still a lot cheaper at about $30 per night. The second benefit is that all Tesla vehicles have a function called camp mode, which allows you to set a constant temperature throughout the night. So whether it's 30 degrees outside or 90 degrees, you can sleep in comfort at whatever temperature you desire, with typically only an 8 to 10% drain in battery while camping on camp mode. The third and probably most underrated benefit is the coolness factor associated with falling asleep with a view of a starry night, given that all Teslas have a glass roof. Besides the Channel Islands and Pinnacles National Park, Lassen Volcanic Park is one of the least well-known and visited of the national parks in California. For one, it doesn't have the same name recognition as Sequoia or Kings Canyon, and it also isn't located that close to a major city. In contrast, Joshua Tree is only about a 2.5-hour drive east of LA, but Lassen Volcanic is about a 4 to 4.5-hour drive from San Francisco. Having visited all of the national parks in California, other than Channel Islands, I can say that Lassen Volcanic is worth visiting. Perhaps the most unique quality is the geothermal activity. One of the most famous hikes in Lassen Volcanic is the Bumpus Hell Trail. Contrary to its name, it's not a hellish hike, even though it is at an altitude of about 8,000 feet, so breathing can be a little bit difficult. Stretching at 3 miles long with moderate elevation, it took me about 1.5 hours round trip to complete. If the elevation affects your breathing, you might take a little bit longer, or if you're stopping frequently to take pictures. The reason this hike is famous is because at the end of the 1.5 mile halfway point, there is a large basin of geothermal activity. You'll smell the basin before you see it because of the strong sulfur emanating from the ground, but when you do get there, you can observe the hot steam emanating from the ground and also bubbling water. Because the ground can be unstable with the nearby geothermal activity, the National Park Service built an elevated boardwalk, creating a natural walkway and safety for pedestrians. The trail was moderately busy when I went on a Saturday afternoon in September, but I didn't have trouble finding parking. The parking lot probably fits about 40 cars, but there's also a narrow shoulder leading to and out from the parking lot, so there were a bunch of folks who essentially created their own parking spots there too. Food options within most national parks are usually few and far between, and Lassen Volcanic isn't an exception. Fortunately, there is a restaurant right outside the park called Lassen Mineral Lodge Restaurant, which oddly I couldn't find a website for, but they do have a Yelp page with menus showing burgers, sandwiches, and seafood entrees. The other option is to rely on the cafe within the visitor center, which serves a limited selection of hot and cold items and baked goods like muffins and other pastries. On weekends, the visitor center is open until 4:30 p.m., but the cafe actually closes an hour early at 3:30, so it's a harder option if you're looking for dinner. Like some other national parks, Lassen Volcanic is conducive to card camping. Within the park, there's a campground called the Southwest Campground, which is right outside the visitor center, and it provides traditional campsites for tent and RV camping, but there's also a nearby dedicated parking lot, allowing visitors to sleep in their vehicles overnight for only about $10. Access is first come, first serve, though outside of peak season, I wouldn't worry about the lot filling up, since there were probably 50 to 70 spots. It's also convenient to sleep overnight at the park instead of finding accommodations in the nearest town of Red Bluff, which is an hour away. In terms of bathrooms, there are a couple options. The worst option in my opinion is using the vault toilets that are present in virtually every national park, and this one was on the outside of the parking lot. If you're tent camping, then there are gender-designated bathrooms with running waters situated closer to the tent sites, but if you were car camping like me, then the third option is to park nearest to the visitor center, which has bathrooms within the first set of doors. So even after the visitor center closes, you can still use it throughout the night. The visitor center also has Wi-Fi, which while weak is operational even after the center closes, so you can still use it throughout the day and night. Morgan Hill is home to one of my favorite restaurants called Craft Roots, which I make a point to visit every time that I'm in the Bay Area. Craft Roots is a vegan restaurant that is ranked in the top 10% of my restaurant list. It is so good that it makes me forget that I'm a carnivore. Their menu is organized into a couple of sections such as salads, pizzas, and sandwiches, and during this particular visit, I ordered the Nashville hot chicken, which uses a mushroom called hen of the woods in replace of chicken. Like chicken of the woods, hen of the woods has a meaty flavor and is therefore a good substitute texture-wise for actual meat. Every sandwich on the menu comes with several options of sides, of which I ordered a side salad with citrus dressing. The salad was very fresh, albeit a little overdressed. The bill came out to be around $25 with tax and tip, a little on the pricey side for a sandwich, but we are in the Bay Area, and therefore restaurants reflect that type of pricing. 20 minutes south of Morgan Hill lies a small town called Gilroy. There's not enough to do or see in a town that would warrant going out of your way to visit, but if you happen to be passing through like I was, then I'd recommend visiting Garlic World. As the name suggests, Garlic World is a store that serves all things garlic, including my favorite garlic ice cream. That might sound like a weird combination, but it's actually surprisingly good. Gilroy in general is best known for its production of garlic, which is apparent if you roll down the window when driving through, since that pungent garlic smell often persists through the air. If you're looking for a hike with elevation but not as strenuous as Lassen Peak hike, then I suggest the 2-mile out and back Ridge View Trail. All Trails rates it as a moderate hike, but with nearly 1,000 feet of elevation, it's bordering on strenuous. The hike is conveniently located within a mile of the visitor center and shares the same parking lot as the lot closest to Sulphur Works, so you can knock those two attractions out in a single go. The trail is an out and back, and the reward at the end of the hike is a lake called Ridge View. If you go in the early morning like I did, then the lake at the end of the trail is really pretty with a sunrise sky. It also isn't one of the more popular hikes, in part because of the elevation gain, so unless you go during the midday, you'll likely be able to avoid crowds. While a major purpose of this trip was to immerse myself in nature, I wanted to mix things up with non-nature related experiences and therefore spent a part of day 3 in Palo Alto. Palo Alto is probably best known for being the heart of Silicon Valley and acting as a hotspot for tech startups and venture capital firms. Besides the presence of good Asian food, my main reason for stopping there was to visit one of my favorite spas called Watercourse Way. Watercourse Way, in addition to massage services, rents out private rooms with hot tubs, saunas, cold plunges, and showers. I rented out one of these private rooms for an hour and split up my time between the dry sauna, which is set at 172 degrees Fahrenheit, the hot tub, and the cold plunge for some hot-cold therapy. They price these rooms by the person and the hour at roughly a cost of $55 if you go on a less busy day, namely Monday through Thursday, and it's a little bit higher at about $65 per person per hour if you go from Friday to Sunday. Parking is plentiful with a lot in the back and also a couple spots for street parking directly in front of the spa. After Watercourse Way, I walked 10 minutes to a nearby downtown Palo Alto restaurant. One of the top restaurants in the area is a ramen shop called Ramen Nagi, which already had a line out of the door at opening on a Monday for dinner. Once you're inside, you can customize your ramen by the level of salt, oil, spiciness, and toppings, and they allow you to do this with a marker and a sheet of paper. I ordered the black squid ink ramen here. As is the case with most ramen restaurants, Ramen Nagi gives you the option to add on an extra serving of noodles if you're still hungry but have enough broth left. This was one of the best bowls of ramen that I've had in the States. It's flavorful, the chashu pork was top-notch, and the noodles were chewy. All in all, the bill with tip came out to about $25. After enjoying some rest and relaxation at Watercourse Way, I stopped by a local Planet Fitness in Redwood City to get in a workout. One pro tip is that some Planet Fitnesses, including the one in Redwood City, offer a free day pass. To acquire one, you can download the Planet Fitness app and secure one in advance. Just note that you have about 14 days to use it once you actually book it. People often make fun of Planet Fitness because it's not really a gym considered for the serious fitness enthusiasts, and the purple equipment and the infamous lunk alarm both look kind of tacky, but hey, if you can get in for free and you can use the free shower after a workout, then why not? One of the defining characteristics of Big Sur is the frequent pullover viewpoints along the 100-mile stretch along Route 1. Since these pullover spots are facing west to the ocean, they're easier to pull your car over when going north to south than the reverse direction. One of the most famous viewpoints is the Bixby Bridge viewpoint. This bridge was built in 1932 and connects the two sides of the cliff. The viewpoint is adjacent to the north side of the bridge and juts out slightly, allowing you to take great pictures like these. Drive about a half-mile south and you'll find another viewpoint called Hurricane Vista Viewpoint, which provides views like this. If you drive up a little further north from Hurricane Vista Viewpoint, you'll find my favorite attraction at Big Sur, which is the Point Lobos Natural Reserve State Park. It costs $10 to enter. You could technically avoid the fee if you parked somewhere outside of the park and walked in as a pedestrian, but it's pretty cheap, so most people don't have issues with paying. This state park has a number of highly scenic hiking trails, none of which are particularly long or difficult, and some of them are even ADA accessible. Regardless of which trail you choose, you'll encounter plenty of wildlife, including sea lions, and a number of birds, including pelicans. The plants are also beautiful, including these succulents here, which grow off of a number of cliff sides. Almost all of the trails are comprised of a dirt or sand mixture, though there are some sections which require some light rock scrambling, so bring your hiking shoes. Several of the trails are connected to one another, so it's possible to park your car in a single location and hike several trails back to back. I'd personally recommend this because I noticed that the parking lots throughout the park are pretty small in size, some of them only having enough space to fit about 10 to 12 cars. So all in all, how much did the total trip cost? The biggest expense was surprisingly the Tesla Model Y rental. Over 3 days, the rental cost on Turo ended up being $280, which included purchasing Turo's insurance. The insurance cost is something that I wouldn't skip on because more car insurance companies like Geico and Progressive increasingly don't extend the coverage of your primary vehicle to rental vehicles, in part because Turo is not considered a traditional rental car company like a Hertz or Avis. I definitely could have reduced car rental costs had I chosen to select a different vehicle such as a subcompact car, but the extra costs spent on renting the Model Y were more than offset by reducing hotel costs since I just lived in my vehicle throughout the trip. Airfare was the next biggest expense. The round-trip flight between DC and San Francisco was $263, which I booked many months in advance. Lodging amounted to barely anything because I slept in my car for most of the trip, other than the cost of an Airbnb for the first night, which was $94. In terms of the remainder of the costs, food was up next at about $123. This was over 10 meals, and I was able to keep it under budget by getting most of my breakfast from grocery stores. Cab fares were pretty expensive. They ended up consisting of taking a cab from the airport to the Turo rental back to the airport, also cab fares to and from my home in DC. Supercharging and costs are definitely expensive throughout Northern California. On the East Coast, it's not uncommon to find superchargers at a rate of 20 to 35 cents per kilowatt hour. In NorCal, the going rate was generally 32 cents to 48 cents per kilowatt hour, so I ended up spending about $115 total. Because I brought my bedding with me, like my air mattress and blankets and pillows, I had to check a bag for my round-trip flight, which ended up being $70 together. And then there was discretionary expenses like the spa fee at the Watercourse Way at $55, $10 state park entry fee into the state park in Big Sur. So it all ended up being about $1,162 across about 3.5 days of a trip. If you enjoyed this video, then please like this video and subscribe to my channel, Lost in a Good Place. Thanks for watching.